G'day everyone, this is Expand the Fandom Podcast. Our website is chroniclechamber.com and you can subscribe to our podcast via YouTube or through your favourite podcast app. Please give us a rating which helps other fanatics find us. This is episode 277. It is the March 2024 Comics and News Review, where we get a chance to catch up on all the latest happenings within the Phantom world from both here in Australia and all around the world. I'm Steve, and today we've got Jermayn. How you going there, Jim?
Good, mate. Good. It's holidays as we're recording this. I'm about to go on a 3-week break from work. My manager is freaking out. So that's always a good sign because it means that the chances are I still have a job when I come back. And the better thing is where I'm going, there's not going to be any phone reception, so I cannot be bothered for 3 weeks.
Fantastic. Well, you enjoy that. Now, unfortunately, we don't have Dan the Man with us today. He's taken ill. He's been a bit crook. He could barely look at a screen, he was saying. So we wish Dan all the best and hope he's getting better soon. All right. Now, last podcast, we did a bit of a How's Your Phantom Month been? So we thought we'd make that one, we return it for this podcast as well. So, Jerm, how has your Phantom Month been?
Good as well. On Friday, Thursday, one of those days, they all kind of merge into one. I received a package from a Phantom artist that I've been working on a deal with for probably pre-COVID, I think it was. So
long game on that one.
I got a couple of sketch covers, some original artwork, and some signed comics and stuff like that as well. So it was nice to have that one closed, finalized, and everything as well. So that's probably been my highlight for this month.
Oh, that's excellent.
What about yourself?
I'm actually really ticked off about my Phantom Month. Like this morning, I had to send an email to Frew letting them know that I haven't received my last 2 issues in my subscription, as well, of course, as the accompanying file cards. And I certainly hope that it's only me that this is happening to, and that it's not widespread. There's not a widespread problem, because after I aired my concerns in the last podcast, they certainly haven't done themselves any favors in the past month. All of a sudden I don't have any comics, and I like to think I'm pretty optimistic. One of the most optimistic of us, but I've got concerns with Frew at the moment. That they're just failing their customers. Over the last couple of months, it really wasn't unreasonable for me to receive my comics, a day after the on-shelf date, or even the Monday, Tuesday of the week following. And it's just, it happens so often that I just came to terms with it, that it just happened. Which, when I first subscribed, they were nice and early, like everybody else who gets their subscriptions are. But I've been quite disappointed lately, and now they're just not turning up. So that's why I'm concerned. Frew's getting a fail mark at the moment, or unsatisfactory. If I'm a teacher, so in the middle of grading assessments and all that sort of stuff. If the comic turns up by the on shelf date, well, that's a C, because that's what you expect. And I even expect that if it comes on the Friday, well, I'll give them an Australia Post leeway. All right, that could be Australia Post, something's happened there. All right, so that's still a C. That's still what you expect. Anything beforehand, well, you get a better mark. So it arrives on the Wednesday, it's a B. It arrives 2 days beforehand, well, that's an A. Anything before that, A plus, and well, you're shouting from the rafters there. You got it so early. But in the last couple of months, they've been sitting on the D and E, getting in on the Monday, Tuesday afterwards, and now I'm just not getting them. That's a big old F. That's a unsatisfactory in my book. So I certainly hope that it's only me it's happening to, and this problem isn't widespread. I certainly hope that they see my message soon. I realise it's the Easter weekend, so that probably no one's going to see it until Tuesday at the earliest. And I just hope that whatever's going on over at Frew HQ, they can get their affairs in order and look after the customers and I realise this is a first world problem, but I've paid my subscription. It's money that could go other way. No, I've decided to put it to Frew, to a habit that I enjoy. It's not hurting anyone. It's a bit of fun. And the director of Frew is an accountant, aren't they? They should know the value of money and that you should be getting what you pay for. And at the moment, I'm not, and I'm really ticked off about it. On a more optimistic note, Supernova's next weekend in Melbourne, and I'm looking forward to catching up with creators and fans down there. So hopefully I'll have a smile on my dial by then.
Yes, and there's going to be a few while we're talking about Supernova, there's going to be a few creators, but we will discuss that in the run sheet.
Yeah, a little bit later on.
Yeah, no, look, I think that's fair comments with Frew. So yeah, well, subscription, because the bonus about a subscription is if you buy the comics at the newsagent or at the comic book shop, the money gets shared around between Frew, the newsagent, the distributor, the comic book shop. But if you're buying the subscription directly to Frew get all of that money. They don't have to then share it with the distributor and all that. So you would think that a subscription would be, you know, at least a day earlier, not 3-4 days later. Otherwise, there's no benefit for you getting a subscription.
No, there's none whatsoever. Apart from I do enjoy the final cards, but yeah, I'm really ticked off about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we move on to the comics then, you reckon?
Yes, we should. Now, people are wondering, how the heck can we review a comic if I haven't been able to read it? Well, fortunately, it's got modern technology and we've got scans and that sort of stuff. So I have been able to have a quick look over them, which I'm very grateful for. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, and look, we do these scans for our podcast, so that way if you're watching it on YouTube, you can see it, because not everyone who watches the podcast gets the Frews. Now, the scans are not high quality. We don't print them. We don't share them. They're literally for the podcast. So yeah, so that's what we do. And then yeah, hopefully it's just a better feature for the for you, the viewers. So this is the cover here.
Here's the cover. Yep.
So this is the cover here from Alex Tripp. I quite like the cover. It's lots of action. You've got the bad guy, you know, two bad guys in a sense. They're nice and big. So look, I really like Alex's work. I feel like his Phantom's probably a little bit less muscular than some of his other ones. And even his face is maybe a little bit less detailed as well. So no, look, artists go through styles and changes and they try different techniques. We've seen that with Barry over his 30 years. But I like what Alex has done here. And then I think at times he was maybe a little bit too muscular, but where I think he's finding a good balance. And
good balance.
I do like his work. And he is going to be at Supernova, so make sure you get him to sign it. And even a better idea, which for those who are wanting something a little bit different, talk to him about remarks. So remarks is where he'll get your comic and then he'll draw like a little phantom, little figurine and stuff like that. So like if you like the idea of original artwork, but you don't want to pay $500, $600, $700 for a cover or something, give him the comic and he'll do like a little phantom, little face and stuff like that. And most of them will do that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them do that now. So, The King of Beggars by Pergy Hvidsten and Carlos Cruz. While on a trip to London for family business in 1840, the 15th Phantom happens to meet a Henry Clay, who is concerned that something has happened to his cousin Sophie, as he hasn't heard from her in quite some time. In her last letter, she had mentioned that she felt that she was being followed, and then nothing after that. The Phantom then negates his family business and assists Henry to uncover the whereabouts of Sophie. What follows is a roller coaster ride of deceit and cover-ups, orchestrated by the King of Beggars and the rats in his employ to stop the Phantom and Henry from uncovering Sophie's whereabouts. So who really is this King of Beggars? And why is it important that this Sophie is out of the picture? Can the Phantom and Henry uncover her whereabouts before it's too late?
Now, if I was to be picky, because I love this story, love the story, love the cover, love everything about it. But if I was picky, the bit at the beginning where they're talking, where was it? If they're talking about this bit here, the insurance scam, I guess you want to call it. If that was more towards the end, so you're kind of led along trying to figure out why the King of Beggars is doing this, that would have been
Mm.
maybe the only change I probably would have included, is because it was kind of almost you knew why they were trying to knock all these people off on page 6 instead of maybe page 20 or something like that.
26. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, good point. That's yeah. Actually, yeah, it's not bad. But
But
apart from that,
oh
I thought the story was a really, really, really good. Compared, yeah, I thought it was
yeah,
really good.
and one of the things that I like about it is that it's a real detective-esque style story. You got the
It
Phantom is
is.
going around, and I like my Phantom as a detective. So I've enjoyed it. Really enjoyed this. I love the artwork because you were a new fan around similar time as me. Within a couple of years and all that. So
Mm.
you and we grew up and became fanatics, I guess is for a nicer term, dining out on Cruz's artwork.
Yeah,
So,
there's a familiarity to it
mm,
from the
mm,
90s. Oh, how old is this story? I couldn't quite see that when I was looking at the scans.
92.
92. So
So,
and so that really was a golden era for the Egmont story, or was it
yeah,
Egmont back then? Anyway, Phantom and the 90s were awesome and that hooked a lot of people in. And this really is of the era. It's a great Rollickin story, a mystery. We've got this what would you call it? Some sort of special power where he can control the rats and let them do his bidding. It's really good. I've really enjoyed it.
yeah, no, I did as well. And I guess what also helps with it is having the whole 32 pages to go into a little bit more detail. And you know how sometimes we talk about, oh, glad this story wasn't 32 pages because it was short and punchy.
Mm.
Where I think this was the opposite, because we've had a 32 pages, it's really allowed the writer and the artist to really give us a nice development of the story. So yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, and even though it's 32 pages, everything is explored, but there's no filler in it.
Mm.
There's bang, something's happened, bang, something's happened, sorted, bang, that leads on to the next thing, leads on to the next thing. There's no filler in between. The biggest filler parts are at the very start and the very end, and they don't go for very long. But it's
Yes.
just, Heloise has knocked something over, and there's a rat, and let's go to the Chronicle Chamber and read the story. Then at the end, um, they say something that good story or whatever, and run off. So, and it only takes what 3 or 4 panels, I think, to really
Yeah.
set up and close up. So, you know, that's fine. And then, so really, it's 31 pages of story, and it was a welcome change. I
Mm.
think we've been getting these short stories, and which have been great. 20 odd pages. Um, there's no filler in them. They've really got to go bang bang. But you actually got to explore the characters and then get to, you can see the worry on Henry, about Sophie. So no, I think Frew have done well with this one.
Yeah, it makes me question why it wasn't included, why it wasn't printed originally.
Mm.
But yeah, look, I don't. Yeah, I'm glad we got it. Really enjoyed reading it. Another little interested couple of little points is that there's only now one story by Carlos Cruz that has not been published by Frew. So
Right.
if
You know what it is?
not on the top of my head, no, that would have. But yeah, there's one. That little tidbit came from Christopher Whitmore, I think it was. Um, Look, I would like to see that story created. Enjoyed all his stories. Carlos Cruz would, because some of his stories would be due to be republished because they've been out of print
They've been
for
that for long.
20, 30 years.
Yep.
So I wouldn't mind, and look, if Frew ever go back towards it, but maybe some, like an artist edition annual or artist edition trade paperback with the new story and some of his classics, could be nice to see it. And then lastly, the other point is that the other thing that I really liked about the story is the point that the Phantom kept the Mr. Walker alias separate from who he is.
Yeah,
So
that was interesting, wasn't
mm. Now it was a little bit cheesy running along the rooftops and
it?
stuff like that, like a little bit
But
over
it
the
has
top.
that extra element of fun.
Yeah. But one of the things that I like about my Phantom is that we know who the Phantom is and we know who Mr. Walker is. And yeah, sometimes they're in the same city as each other, but are they the same? No, they're not. They're different. You know, he was over here and now he's over there. And that's, I think that's an important law that I think sometimes gets, well, a lot of the time gets forgotten, is that the Phantom and Mr. Walker are separate characters.
Mm. Good point. And I thought, yeah, it was interesting the way that he did it, even though the fellow tends to have a bit of an idea by the end of it. But still, it was nice to bit of fun to keep him separate. Oh yeah. So being a 32 pager or whatever it was, it was only the one story in that issue. Our next issue though, through number 1967. Who's the cover by there, Jim?
So here's the cover here. So the original drawings of the front cover, which is of the Phantom doing the jump, is by John Snyder III. But it's been colored by someone else called Wright with a W. Wright, which you can probably see down there. And I've actually seen the original of this cover, and it looks great, but this actually gives a different element design to it. So it's intriguing with that. And then you've got the back cover, which is by Giancarlo Cardazzo, I think is how
You stumble over that one.
yeah, Caracuzo, which he's done a lot of the trade paperbacks, and he did the Kiss of Death with the story by Peter Anderson. So I quite like that. It could have quite easily been used as a front cover, but it's also quite nice as a back cover as well. So it yeah, so that's the front cover there. All in color as well, which I'm sure you're getting to.
Oh, nice. No, I wasn't getting to that because I didn't know because didn't read that one. I read the Irish one.
Yeah, well,
So
the
this,
Irish one's also in color, and so this is in
yeah,
color as well.
yeah. So this story is the Scarlet Sapphire, which was originally published by Lightning Strike. More on that in just a moment. Um, and it's written by created by Stephen Mooney and Robert Carey. Now the plot: the Phantom has received intelligence that a certain respected businessman has been illegally mining precious jewels and has been working the native workforce to death. The tribes haven't realized this as their sons all seem to be sending money back to their communities, so they're able to purchase much needed housing and medicine. But they are beginning to realize that there are no more young men around. Is the Phantom's intelligence correct? Are Senator Palmer's accusation on national TV going to come to fruition? And just who is this businessman's bodyguard? I thought it was really interesting that that Diana is a senator now.
Yeah, that's probably the first thing that interests me is like, is she a senator for Bangala? Or because that's what I would assume she is.
Yeah, you'd assume that.
Which I'm assuming she would have to be probably a resident, so she actually like lives in Bangala, which I like. Like I never liked how Lee Falk had Diana not living in Bangala. And I understand, living in New York and working for the UN and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it works better when Diana's in Bangala. And the other thing that I really love about this story, which is probably the thing that I love the most about this story, is that Diana has her own starring role. She is an actual hero. She is, she's for the lack of better term, she's a badass.
She is. Actually, that's something that was a little bit lost as I'm reading it. We've just seen in the previous story where we had 32 pages and things could be explored off that. This one, as good as the story is, there is a couple of times where it's like a hard cut. And all of a sudden, oh, what's going on here? They're in a courtroom. Oh, hang on, no, we're in the mine. Like, and is that Diana? Like, where is she here? A couple of those hard, I call them hard cuts for lack of a better term for it, but a couple of those were a little bit disjointing.
Yeah, I thought the coloring was interesting. Like you look at this page here, where it's like that full on red, which makes, like it's like danger, 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 and then you've got the beginning of the confrontation between the Phantom and the bad guy. So
Yep.
the coloring's quite interesting. And then like how they've done the beard and stuff, they've given it a real realistic look. I'll see if I can zoom in for that for those who are which kind of gives it that real fuzziness, which actually looks like a real beard. So I thought like some of the coloring and the inking styles, it's probably a little bit different for some, some Phantom fans who are maybe not used to it. But I quite liked it. And then I must admit, with the bad, what are your thoughts about the bad girl or the
The
Scarlet?
bodyguard.
Yeah.
She'd be interesting to see more of her. She's
Hmm.
not in there for very long, but there's always the opportunity for a comeback.
Yeah. Now, I must admit, I find her interesting. Like, now I'm not an expert in this field whatsoever, so I'm probably going to get it wrong. But from my understanding, she's wearing a hijab. That's how you say it, right? Which is over her head. But then she's scantily dressed in, boobs showing and her arms are uncovered and stuff like that. So I get the feeling
Yeah.
from her top that she's is Arabic or, like Middle Eastern, from what you understand with the hijab. But then I struggle to understand why she's wearing, something you more assume Black Widow would wear, which is almost kind of like two contrasts. So I wonder if I think
Maybe
she's
it's just, maybe reading too much. It's just her fashion sense.
yeah, maybe I am, but I just I think she's a great character.
Mm.
I think we do see her more in some of the Lightning Strikes ongoing series, but maybe I don't know. Is it culturally insensitive? Um, so
Interesting.
yeah, but apart from that, I like it. Love how Diana is a proper heroine
Heroin.
heroine.
Yep.
And I like how Devil kind of gets in with the horses and
Yeah, Devil's great too.
hmm.
Everyone gets a starring role. Oh, I don't think Hero does, but the rest of them do. But it's good to see it in the Phantom in the Frew comic. Now, talking about Lightning Strike, they've announced that they're working on a new creative team, or they've got a new story or something going on.
Yes. So as we have discussed in our last podcast, also when we've discussed it on the website, in articles and stuff like that as well, we said that we predicted, and we were correct. Let's give us a tick for that one. That we expect Frew to be looking at the Lightning Strikes comics, which obviously is Frew 167. We didn't realize that it was going to be that close. But yeah, then Lightning Strikes have announced, and then I've got a screenshot. So if you're on YouTube, you'll see the comment word by word. But they have made comment that they're working on a new creative story, but there's no word as of yet on the creator team.
Ah, very good. Can you just hold that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is the
What have we
cover
got in that
here.
corner there? Why is there a lightning strike on the cover?
I don't know. So if you're on YouTube again, you'll see what we're talking about. I'm just going to pin it so that way you can kind of see what we're talking about. But yeah, underneath the Frew corner box, you have an in associate with Lightning Strike. Obviously, it's looks like it's flipped reversed on. But like, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, they're going to start doing this for Egmont. They're going to do it for Fratelli Sparta. Fratelli Sparta. Is this setting a precedent? Are we going to have, if they're going to be model stories of the Scandinavian stuff and Italian stuff, or are we just going to have a whole, thing down the spine there along the left hand side, all the different publishing companies that they're using or that they're getting their stories from? Um, I don't think it's necessary. I don't like it.
Now, I got a theory that it's part of the deal on Frew using these stories. So
Well,
I
hopefully, otherwise, why are you doing it?
I personally think that's why it's going to happen. I think you raise, and I never thought of it, so you raise a brilliant point about are they going to start doing the Fratelli Sparta logo, the Egmont one? We know they are going to be doing Wick stories from the old
Yep.
Bastille one. So are they going to then be doing the Wick logo? Maybe does this start a bad precedent?
Yep.
Now the thing that I prefer over the thing that I prefer Frew covers over the Phantom Men covers is that there's less crap on the front cover. You
Mm.
know, because Phantom Men have the stories and they have all the other stuff, and we're beginning to get there already. We've got the title, we've got the corner box, and then with the backup stories, we're including it on there as well. And now are we going to be including that? I would kind of like, yeah, I think it just looks better without the dressing.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Yeah. We don't want it too busy.
yeah, sometimes a salad is better with less dressing.
Yeah, you're right. Um, yeah, I don't think there's anything more to say on that. Um,
The other
uh,
thing that I want to raise is if you were seeing it on YouTube, you would see that this page was fully across. The Frew have kind of squished it, which you can see there, as you can see it there. So you've kind of still got all these bits and pieces on there, and then you've got the next issue, and the reason for that is because you've then got the next story, which we'll get into in a second, but it finishes on the last page as well. So
so
I
it's a
guess,
jam-packed issue, and there are a page or two over quota, were they?
yeah. So do you squeeze it in like that, or do you not have the back issue and put in some letters? Like
Mm.
what would you
That would have been
prefer?
that would have been a conundrum that I'm sure that Dudley would have had to think about. Um, by the looks of it, there would have had to been like a stack of letters, or they would have had to advertise messenger bags and subscription.
Yep.
So would have been a couple of pages of the messenger bag ad, subscription ad. So you're saying squeezing it, but have they affected the artwork, or is it?
Look, I don't think the artwork is really affected in any way. I'll
Then
if
I
you're on
think I'm
YouTube,
happy with it. Then.
I'll do a comparison so you can see it. But I think they made the right decision.
Yeah, looks
Um,
like he was stuck between a rock and a hard place, and he
mm.
chose this one, and I think he's done a fine job with it.
Now, as much as I like reading Dudley's editorial pieces, as much as I like reading letters from fans and stuff like that, I think having an extra short story is the right decision. Um, and yeah, I think Dudley has made the right call. Uh, so I congratulate Dudley on that.
Good, thanks. 'Cause, yeah, when I saw the note here about the squares of the pages on the front inside page, I thought, what are you talking about here? So I'm glad you're able to show that for me because like I don't have my comic. I'm gonna put that through every time. Anyway, we do have a backup story as we mentioned. It's Fandom by Gaslight, and it's of Man and Beast Part Two, written by Andrew Constant with art by Jason Paulos. It's been a while since we last saw the Phantom and Doctors Moreau and Jekyll, so I was, for one, grateful for the little recap on the first page. Doesn't go for long, just goes for enough to remind you what's going on.
Mm.
At the end of part one, Jekyll had consumed far too much of the serum and has now transformed into the monstrous Hyde. The Phantom is no match for Hyde's strength and speed, and bullets just bounce off him. Will the Phantom be able to escape the monster's clutches, or will Hyde end up gnawing on the Phantom's bones? If only the Phantom had an ally nearby, because sometimes you just need a monster to fight a monster.
Very good. Now, I've been on the record about not liking Phantom by Gaslight generally. I've been on the record not liking the last graphic novel which featured the monster. But I must admit, I actually enjoyed this part.
Yeah, this worked for you, didn't
I did
it?
not see it coming. And then he's going around and I'm like, okay, what's he? And then he's there and I'm like, oh. And then I'm like going, Andrew wrote that story with Frankenstein. In that story, it had that he helped past phantoms. And I'm like, that's very clever. That's a nod. I like it. I like what he's done. So yeah, look, I think Gaslight needs to be fun.
Yeah, has to be.
The Gaslight stories that I've personally enjoyed the most are fun Gaslight stories. And this now fits in a fun Gaslight story. I'm pretty sure every single reader has heard of Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde. So,
Yeah,
you
Mr.
know,
Hyde.
yeah, Mr. Hyde. So it's a lot more relatable because most people have heard of the story. Most people know of Frankenstein. So yeah, I think it's a lot more relatable, and yeah, look, these guys here kind of remind me of like obviously they are people that Dr. Moreau has created and stuff like that. I remember watching what was the movie with Val Kilmer back in the day in the 90s, all those decades ago. Steven's trying to go
Val
back.
Kilmer movie.
I'm pretty sure Val Kilmer did. I think he did it with pretty sure he was in a Dr. Moreau.
Oh, The Island of Dr. Moreau. Was that
Yeah.
with Brando?
Yeah.
Yeah,
My memory
I
serves
never
me
watched the
correct.
movie. It could be
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, so I remember watching that. We've got this. The bad guys remind me, those little minions remind me more of Bebop and Rocksteady
You up on Rocksteady from the Turtles, yeah.
from the Turtles. But again, they're kind of relatable, and so yeah, look, I enjoyed the story. It was fun, it was short, it was punchy. I think that's what this needs to be. And if we're getting more Gaslight stories like this, I'm probably going to have to change my mind, and everyone's going to have to hear it on. What about yourself?
Now, no, I enjoyed it for all the reasons what you just said there, but yeah, there's nothing more I could add. I thought it was fun and punchy, as you said. It moves along very quickly. Now we've got this story instead of a continuation of Shane Foley's, which we've been getting lately. Does that affect anything at all? Breaking it up.
Well, I think now I don't have official word on this, but I'm kind of reading between the lines. Is in our past conversations with Jason Paulos, he talks about every story he submits to Frew, he colors. I
Yep.
know Shane Foley doesn't color every single story. So this was a color issue, so it makes sense to produce, and I think Jason Paulos's work looks better in color, so it makes sense to include all the color issues with the next part of it. Yes, I think it works better when they're more together, but again, this was a difficult conversation or a difficult thing for Dudley to do, and I'm going to back Dudley and say that he's made the right decision again on this one.
Well done, Dudley. I think so too. Great job. Okay, so that's all the reviews.
Wow.
We've done that quick. All the reviews from Australia. Now we get to go around the world. So we have Sujab here, reviewing the latest Regal and Shakti comics from India. If you're from Greece, France, Hungary, and/or Brazil, and you would like to review these comics for us, well, please contact us. Also, as a special video, we are including a side-by-side comparison with Week 6 and Phantom Special 37 from 1981. Thanks to Christian for this. It is a fascinating video. We know some of these stories will be published by Phantom, and we expect Frew will also publish them. So we can look forward to that in the future. Rightio, take it away, fellas.
Hello, welcome to a Chronicle Chamber book review. For this review, we have The Phantom from Shakti Comics, their latest issue, which apparently does not have any number. So I suppose this is number 12. So that is what it is. Let's just get into the review. We have here the name of the story, which is The Presidents, and it's covered by Abhishek Biswas. Yes, a very nice looking cover, but the colors look really good here. But as you can probably notice now, if we put the previous issue side by side, and also that does not have the number as well. I don't know why they stopped, but that is, I don't know. Anyway, so this issue was laminated, the cover was like, the colors already popped, but now here, no lamination whatsoever, nothing. So that is kind of a drawback, I suppose. So one more thing that Shakti kind of changed, I suppose, with their publication. Opening it up, it feels thin. It is because in the previous issue they used kind of a thicker cover, thicker paper to actually print the cover than the paper that has the stories in it. That's just why it could hold the story. But now if you lift this one up, it is just going to bend. So there is one thing that they changed the paper. They chose to have some less thicker paper, and also got rid of the lamination itself, and as a result the colors don't actually shine anymore. The inside look just exactly like the year before issues. So just the precedents and the story and the writing credits there, and here the story, and the colorist is also Santosh Atsul, who is coloring their issues now apparently. So that's good, I suppose. And the copyright information here says 2022. I don't know why, because this issue has been in production, I suppose, since the 2023, and just came out a couple of weeks ago. So that's what it is. The pages of where the story is printed is also, I suppose it is, if we compare with the thickness of the previous paper, it is kind of less thicker, and these, so they actually essentially took down the thickness of this paper as well, and also this one, the inside pages, and I suppose it's their move at decreasing their costs and something like that. So that is something. Okay. So the color by Santosh Atsul. What do I say? Well, it's basically, to sum it up, the colors are colors have the same problem that I have already had. That is kind of overuse, too much kind of sort of color that reminds of the Indrajal era, but it is not the Indrajal era, because during the Indrajal era they had to do colors physically, but now they don't have to do it physically because it's digital. But even though it is digital, the colors hide a lot of important details just as well, because they are all hidden. The face of Lamanda Luaga here is just too much use of color, that the details in the black and white it's just missing. Even the treehouse, when it is colored like that, it needs to have more depths. But that's what I believe. It's what I actually believe. So this is the story of the presidents, about Luaga and the president of Ibor, Ilana Goranda. And the page, even though it is not that as thick, and it got just bent, but yeah, the colors really are represented. but surprise, surprise, Santosh Atul has not improved or done anything, because everything is the same. At least that's what I feel. Like, why have Lamanda Luaga's coat and his hair color the same? Like that is not coloring. Then overuse of colors. Then the costume of the Phantom still looks the same, even has the red and black trunks. Still, still these red and black trunks are prevalent here. It's just same use of colors. Some panels like this one kind of looks nice because they are single panels and kind of they have to look nice, but then these kind of things are not these things. Then those things there, the colors are overused. These kind of green panels, too much. You must use a kind of lighter shade. That's what I feel. Kind of lighter shade is needed. It's not, you are not trying to do a Indrajal stuff. You are trying to do a modern thing with the character and trying to popularize the character. And it's great that we have two publishers, Regal and Shakti, but if one is kind of making such things and trying to put them out in 3 different languages, you must be able to kind of do kind of better color work. These things, these kind of dark colors, these kind of look really nice. Some aspects, yes, but then again the overuse of colors begins. The faces, some attention is required, very much required. Without attention, then the head of the Phantom is half missing now for some reason. Yes, it is there. Yeah, then Bababu is there. Some panels like these single panels look really good, but then these faces and these kind of, you don't even have the Phantom's belt, symbol on the Phantom's belt now. Like what? The colors kind of need improvement, very much. And that ends the story. So yeah, I mean, it is so bad, to think that kind of a publisher of the character I love, everyone loves here, making some not too much pleasing decisions and kind of trying to do some weird things, then changing their format or something like that. It is not very pleasing, Shakti. You must try to kind of find a fixed format, and then do some stuff. And at the end we have kind of a compilation of the Phantom's villains of some generals. This is a Falk thing. He kind of tried to make more and more evil dictators during his later years, and have the Phantom fighting against some names and some countries they're from are just, and that's even the designs are very similar. Than this kind of fat generals. How many are there? Fat large generals. This one is also this one. Then these kind of bearded generals are there also. That is kind of, yeah. Floridon. Okay. Yeah, this kind of every single story's names are there. And complied by. That is also a grammatical mistake. Compiled, it has to be. And Bishadip and Abhishek. So the cover artist and their staff writer. So yeah, I mean that's great, I suppose. And for the readers, new readers of the Phantom, that gets to know about more of these, and that is great. But you must provide some good printing quality, not printing quality, but colors and something like that. That makes the presentation great, only this one and some essentially unpleasant colorings does not make a fan happy. That's what I have to say, and that is what I actually think. So yeah, that was the review for this issue. And in the end we also have this one. They actually used to have this in the last page, and then there was kind of introduction to the Phantom. They moved this to the last page now. So having these covers, this is an Italian one, this is a comic art album which kind of had this story there, and it has the basic informations. However, you kind of have again another mistake. Yeah, you must again another one. Kind of, you need to kind of look after your proofreaders, must proofread this issue, and also improve the colors, please improve the colors, and bring the thickness of the issue again, and the papers, please. That's very much a required thing. Okay, so that is what I would like to say. The price of this issue is $2.49 again. This is the same as this one, but as you can see, the difference in quality. This, I guess, they're decreasing their cost, but you must be able to deliver some good stuff, and also if they can do that, try to be timely with the audience, and get the issues released in a timely manner. That would be great for the audience as well. That's all I would like to say. This one review went too far, I suppose. Kind of, I tried to talk about my thoughts behind what I like and what I dislike and what I would suggest to Shakti, and this is kind of what I would like to talk about, and I hope Shakti listens. Today we are reviewing the Phantom number 35, the Christmas special of 2023 from Regal Publishers. Regal Publishers in India have been publishing the Phantom for a long period of time now, and now they have reached their 35th issue. This issue came out in the first week of January, and was shipped around the second or third week, and I actually had received this issue during the end of January. So as a result, this kind of review was kind of delayed, but that delay will have to wait, because now I will review this issue, and hopeful that I will be able to provide more reviews in a timely manner. Okay, so let's get started. So this issue itself has a cover done by Ankit Mitra, who is of course Regal's main artist and everything, and he is also an art director in their production house, I suppose. So this cover is a Christmas themed cover, and it features essentially several moments from the stories inside, and with a Christmas theme, of course. Therefore, it is said it is by Ankit Mitra after Sapphire. Okay, So the freebie with this issue is this one. This one is a Christmas card, Merry Christmas card, based off the cover. A different sort of paper, but it's thick and everything, so that is essentially very good. So let's get started with the review itself. As you can see, the pricing for this issue is 600 rupees. So this is their standard format for this kind of thick books, this thick kind of paperback books. Opening up the book itself, we can see there are 3 stories inside, as you can see here. The Epidemic by Falk and Sapphire, Tiger also by Falk and Barry, and Captain Amazon Pirate Queen from Falk and Barry. So therefore you can see they have also included a disclaimer about the story's themes, which is interesting. And of course, this is again from the cover itself. So we are here to see the first story, which is The Epidemic by Falk, and art is by Sapphire, and the colors are by Hvidsten from Norway. The story, the artwork here is this story essentially is a daily story. So this with Hvidsten's colors was first published in Regal, so this wasn't printed in Frew or other publications with Hvidsten's colors. That's what I mean, and that is being presented here. First feel of this as we go through that, the fact that Hvidsten's colors are always kind of pleasing to the eye, and this kind of use of this kind of colors, and it looks really good on this Regal's paper, which I really like. It's really good work, and yeah, the printing looks very good. However, the size of these panels are quite smaller, if I would say that, because kind of if they kind of make it a little bit bigger, it would kind of make a difference to the readers, because they would see the art a bit more enlarged, and the story also is kind of more pleasing to the eye. That is kind of what the thought that came into my mind while I was kind of trying to do this review itself. So the art is a daily story, as it is from during set when they first started the battle. It is during the initial years of Sapphire, so in these 60s or 70s, kind of like that. During that time this story was published. Very nicely printed by Regal. The colors are very nice. Looks really good, as you can also see. So that kind of ends the story here, which is the end. Then moving on to the next story, which is Tiger, a Falk and Barry Sunday story from the 1990s or 1980s. I'm not sure at the moment, but yeah, I think it is from the 1980s, I suppose. Yeah, it is. It looks really good, and you can see here it is also it is colored by Simi Muhammad. So this is Regal's main colorist. He is now, and the problems with his work before I had was he kind of put extra shades or shadows into his colors work, but now here it is still present in this Sunday story format, and it is being colored because of the fact that the original color copies of these does not exist anymore, so they must take help of local colorists. Here Simi's colors look really good because the shades are not that kind of prevalent here. It's more like it is better, I have to say. It looks really good. Colors do pop, and it is kind of in a way very nice and pleasing to the eye, of course. And I really am fond of the colorings here. Like, you kind of put this kind of, it is kind of not needed. It is not like I had said before, but it is, if he is doing this, it is kind of fine because he has reduced a bit, but also because him not having the continuity which I was criticizing. Like, here you have, in this panel you don't, in this panel you don't, in other panels you definitely don't. That is kind of the idea here. So that is what the story is. Tiger is about Lee Falk's explanation about why there are tigers in the Phantom's Bangala in Africa, because Africa does not have any tigers. So it is a very kind of explanatory story. Which, yeah, and again, kind of the shadings, but it is fine. It does not look that bad. It is great. His previous work was also great, but this is kind of a problem with this is here. This here is a panel that was used in the Frew reprint of this strip. So that was the cover done by Terry Webby or Tessa, and I really liked that cover a lot. So then this ends the story, the Tiger. Then we move on to the story of Captain Amazon, the Pirate Queen. This is the third and final story in this comics, and it is also a Falk and Barry story, and it is what also colored by Simi Muhammad. That is a surprise. Another Sunday story also. So let's get into it. As you can see here, the colors are quite different because here the shade of purple is kind of different in this story. Kind of Simi thought that he would upgrade, I suppose, and these two stories were his way of upgrading. And as we can see here, the shadows, the shades, everything are gone. He has not tried to use them here, and the colors look really good here as well. It looks really good. The colors do pop, and it is pleasing to the eye, and just very good. It looks fine, very fine. There is a version of a colored version in the Bengali magazine called Dish that I have seen, and I actually have some of them, I suppose, and that color was also really good. And this one is also kind of nice, very nice, and looks really pleasing to the eye, as I said before. It is, yeah, it is nicely readable, and it is also a nice story as well. It is one of my favorites, I suppose, and I really like this one. And there we go. And there we this, and the end of the story itself. Yes, so yeah, nicely colored by Simi. Really good coloring. Some panels look really impressive. Overall, a great work and a great issue from Regal, indeed. In the back we can notice Regal is using an advertisement, so that is also a great thing, I suppose, because since they are using advertisements, they can also get some kind of revenue for their comics, and of course continue on with their publication for the matter. So now, since it is March, so at least 2 months have passed since the release of this issue, and I think they will be releasing another one very shortly, which will be tried to be reviewed in a timely manner, and I hope I will be able to do that. So that is what I essentially think. Thank you very much for watching this review.
My name is Chris. Today we do side-by-side comparison from Week Comics and Phantom Spezial number 37, just to look how different the colors are that Week have done. So we start now. The first page is the information page, impressum, and then we start with the comic. And here you see the different colors, and I start side by side. The bottom one is, like I said, the old magazine, and this magazine is the new one, and you can choose which one you like most. Some difference you see here in the paintings and here, but all in all I like both magazines, and just to show you the both magazines. And we are done. Then I have one side more, and we're finished. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, fellas, for your review, and we look forward to you joining us next time. Now we're on to the newspaper. So we've got Daily 265 is still ongoing, which is still called The Chain. The Phantom and his son Kit have now moved on into the jungle, and in the last week they've uncovered, well, some bad guys seem to be raiding a Longo village, well, an abandoned Longo village of their major artifact. But as you've been saying in our little messenger, over the last little bit there, Jerm, what has this got to do with the Chain story? Now, the only link I can see at the moment, pun completely intended, was that they're holding this giant Longo monument with chains, and you just saw on the back seat of the tray of the ute that there was chains in there. There are plenty of chains that are appearing around here. So will they play a bit more of a part in the that's what I was just talking about, in the story, which links what's happening now to the Phantom's dream that he spoke about at the beginning of this story. Time will tell. I'm sure Tony Paul, he's always got something up his sleeve. Oh, I haven't seen this one. Oh, is this the week ahead? I haven't seen the week ahead yet.
Yep. So here's
Oh, you're
more
giving me
chains.
spoilers.
So this is, yeah, so we've shown chains in the back of the truck. We've shown chains on that big Easter Island lookalike statue. And then you've got this guy here. Now, when I first saw this one, this is the 4th of April, he looks like a bad guy straight away. And that's one of the things that I like about Brett's artwork is his bad guys remind me of Wilson McCoy's bad guys. Like you look at him and go, he's a bad guy. Now, I reckon he's a bad guy. Purely
Can't
by the
argue with
way,
that.
purely by the way he looks. He looks Wilson McCoyish bad guy. He's got the big ugly nose. He's got the big beady eyes. He's either bald or balding, and he looks butt ugly. Makes us look like rock stars, Steve. But
He could
yeah,
just be having a rough time.
well, yeah.
Looks like he's captured there.
But yeah, so it does, but yeah, he looks. And so then, yeah, so this is the 5th of April, where we see the a warrior for the Queen's Guard. So look, I think you
So
might.
do you think he's betrayed the longer, or he's been forced to betray the longer?
Look, I don't know. Now, I've been wondering where he's going to be, where this story's going, and the chains is like, yeah, okay, that's. I don't think it's a red herring. I think you might be onto something that they get captured and then they have to have their own chain moment. Maybe Tony DePaul's then going to, I don't know, maybe he's finished destroying the chain story, which has upset a few fans, especially Dan. That's the real reason why he's not on the podcast. No, it's not really, but and then so maybe he's going to build it up or show the endearment that fans have to it or something by the fact that Kit, the 21st and the 22nd Phantom are going to have to work together to grind away the links themselves, and they only know about doing that because of the story that the 20th Phantom has told them through the 21st Phantom's dream. So I think that might be where we're going with this. So you might be onto something there, Steve.
Well, we'll see how we go. And what do you think of Brett Sutton? I think I think last time we said he's coming into his own. He really is. I'm really enjoying his art.
Yeah, look, I am. I think the grins, like his one on the 30th of March, like that grin's less, for the lack of a better, for the lack of a better term. I'm not quite sure on Kit, but I like how Kit's not just a cookie cutter of what the 20th Phantom looks like without his mask on. He's his own person. He looks different. He's got his own. We've also seen him when, I think, where was it? This one here on the 1st of April. He talks about, the Phantom's like, I saw these tracks, and stuff like that. They left virtually no sign. And then Kit's like, oh, I worked my horse right by there and I never saw a thing. So, he's realizing, hey, I've still got a long way to go. So there's development in the 22nd Phantom, aka Kit Jr. as well. So I'm liking that dynamic as well. No ring on the Phantom there, but that's beside the point. Ooh. It's quite clever having like the electric, like the batteries and stuff like that. Obviously, there's still going to be noise, but there's not going to be as much noise. So
okay, and also we've got the Sunday story. The Commander will see you now, which is Sunday story 194.
So where we last left off, the 10th of March. So basically, we're about a month into them looking throughout the new Commando's office. Yep. We've seen the doorstop, which is the Maltese Falcon.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk about the other one, which you picked up. But
a
couple of points about this is the Maltese Falcon is from a movie, which obviously there's a bit of a clue here with Werribee looking with a little black and white thing. Now,
Humphrey Bogart, I think.
I'm not that vintage. So I didn't pick that up. But what I picked up was that there's actually been a Phantom story of the
Of course you did.
second Phantom
Everyone
where
else knows the movie.
yeah,
He knows the Phantom story from 300 years ago.
yeah. And so I picked up the story. Now, I was trying to rack my brain. This was a 1995 Frew story, 1121, I believe it is. The Golden
Just off the top of
Falcon.
your head there.
So it was the second Phantom, or was it the third Phantom? One of those two. Actually, but the Falcon went into real life and then dropped a golden feather off at what do you call it? At the Skull Cave later on. So that's how he got the golden feather. But what's actually interesting is we're actually seeing the actual statue, which has been from the 11th Phantom. So what I find interesting about this is previously we've seen other elements. So we've seen the Maltese Falcon, we've seen weapons, we've seen the flag, which is from I can't remember.
We did hear about this.
Yeah, it was a flag from I can't remember the name of the flag, but it was from a well-known pirate. And then there's been books and stuff like that as well. So I've enjoyed this, and I think what it does is it gives room for either Tony DePaul or other creators who want to align themselves closely to what's been now established Phantom lore, is to be able to create stories which quite easily hook into Phantom lore. Like we know the 11th Phantom found this statue. And if you listen to the last podcast we did with Andreas Erikson, his story of Julian the Phantom battling the Sing pirates and then jumping off the cliff and stuff like that. That story was actually from a previous Team Phantom End story where it was just the one panel. And then he created a whole story of reference to this one panel. So go back and listen to Andreas as he talks about that. So the beauty about what this does, if you're a creator and you're running out of ideas, there's that flag, there's the Maltese Falcon, and there's some other elements as well that could be created. So I think that's quite clever because it allows a joining of different universes, for lack of a better term.
Now, this is the interesting one for those of you who are watching on YouTube. So Tony got in contact with us and told us what we thought. Now, and whether we pick things up. Now, this was, I think is it the 24th?
Yes.
Yeah. So Sunday the 24th. I hadn't actually read this, and he sent me stuff. What the hell is he talking about? I don't remember reading this on the Sunday. Realized it was a week ahead. So we've got all these different books, and even Dana makes the comment, "Oh, Invisible Man, Count of Monte Cristo." I'm starting to see a man of mystery theme here, darling. Nice touch, and that was a bit of a wink and a nod there. The other ones aren't quite so obvious. So unless you're really paying attention. Now, Colonel Warrigal, we always think he's a learned man. He knows, he can speak quite fluently, speak quite clearly, quite an eloquent speaker, not like us to get up on across here on the podcast. But he stumbles across the word metamorphosis is the word, and that's a bit of a hint about what's going on with this story in particular. When we talk about things being meta, a story within a story, learning about learning and all that sort of stuff. We've had the Phantom thinking that he's the only one that knows what's going on, but then we've got Lee Falk right behind his back, realizing there is actually an audience that also knows what's going on. And it's a bit of meta storytelling, if you like. So a bit of a hint in there about the meta of the whole storytelling in this particular adventure. Metamorphosis is the name of this. It's a poem or something. I can't quite remember now, but there's a lot of things going on, particularly in this line, the middle row in the Sunday comic. And all we know of Legends begins here. Commander Excelsior, Professor R.J. Griffin. Now, the three of us, Jerm, Dan, and myself, had been going we've been tearing our hair out. We've been trying to figure out different things. We've been back and forth with Tony trying to see if we're on the money or not. We're trying to figure out who that bust is on the safe behind Warraboo there. My first idea was Caesar. I was wrong with Caesar, even though I think metamorphosis does have something to do with Caesar. Then I started Googling absolutely everything. Anyway, I came up with this fella Ovid. I don't know this Ovid fella, but I was right. And so that is a bust of Ovid sitting on top of the safe there for well, there are reasons why it's there. But I'll let you guys figure it out.
Hmm.
But what's also interesting is this Professor R.J. Griffin. Who would be Professor R.J. Griffin? Is this a little bit of the outside world, our world, who is watching all this unfold, steeping into the Phantom Adventure Jam? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, so we did post this last Sunday on our social medias, and there was quite a few people on various pages and stuff wondering who Griffin was. So he is actually a professor in real life, and we've been in contact with him. More on that later. But his name is Robert Griffin, who is a long time Phantom fan who. So a brief bio is he was a co-founder for Friends of the Phantom, which is of Ed Rhodes and Pete Clowes fame. He was a consultant for the 1996 Phantom movie, and he also helped Jim Shepard and Barry Stubbersfield actually find the unedited and uncensored original newspaper stories to be able to print of what Frew did back in the 1990s. So he might not be as popular to everyone or well known to a lot of fans in 2024, but what he did in the 90s and early 2000s was very, very key and instrumental. So it's a lovely touch by Tony. We have been in contact with him, and we are looking at doing a podcast with him as well, because I think he'll be a fascinating, intriguing, some of these elements about the Phantom, but also from a higher perspective, but also stories about Lee Falk, about Ed Rhodes, Pete Clowes, consulting on the movie and finding all these treasure troves of unedited daily artwork, which we are loving now. I would love to be able to ask some questions about that.
Forever indebted to him.
And then this is the next one as well, which
The next one's also Easter Sunday's one is up. I'm not going to read that because I'll wait for tomorrow morning and I'll read it then.
Yeah, so in this one you've got where the Phantom basically introduces himself to the Jungle Patrol. So I think we are we've spent the last month or so, 4, 5, 6 weeks in the commander's office. Now the Phantom's throwing another spanner in the works and saying, hello, what can we do for you? So yeah, I'm intrigued. I've enjoyed the last month or so, but I'm intrigued for this story to kind of move along now.
On to news. So, first point we got here is Regal 35 and Frew had disclaimers about past classic stories being part of the time, etc. Is this needed? I'm trying to remember where this was happening in the Frew. What can you shed some light on this?
In the last replica edition, which we reviewed last podcast, but we didn't discuss it. And then in Regal 35, which Suaz reviewed in this podcast back 10, 15, 20 minutes ago, he talks about it as well. So I thought and we are in the cancel culture today. It's just a matter of life. It's life. We have to be culturally aware of what has happened in the past and stuff like that. So I'm intrigued in just hearing your thoughts, whether it is needed. What are your thoughts about it?
Until, if I'm being honest, I didn't see it until I've just read it there, so I had no idea it was a comic. It has content advisory. Please note that this publication is a direct reproduction of historical content and is presented in its original form. As such, it may include negative depictions and/or mistreatment of people or cultures. So that's interesting. I'd assume that that's going to be the way that the tribesmen have been depicted. That's the
Mm.
only thing. Having, you know, not gone over these stories, not having a photographic memory of every Phantom story like yourself there, Germ, that's the only thing that I can think of.
It is worth saying that you and I are two middle-aged white guys.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I realise my privileged position that I'm at the top of the food chain.
yeah, so we do not understand, why it is needed. And we won't stay on this for too long, but probably the main negative of the Phantom to a lot of people is that it is a white person in a jungle full of
Yeah,
Africans.
the white
The
savior
white savior
syndrome,
complex.
which is the Phantom's biggest critique by people who don't know who the Phantom is.
Yes, yeah. I think we might leave it there, but it was interesting to probably raise it. I would love to hear what some other fans think about it. So if you are listening to this, get in contact with us. You can email us at chroniclechamber@gmail.com, or you can comment on social media as well, or on YouTube. But we would love to hear what your thoughts are on it.
So no doubt they're going to have that advisory warning on all the old classic stories nowadays. All those, yeah, probably from the McCoy to more era. Probably less so in Barry's era.
Mm.
Okay, moving on. Phantom Man 8, 2024 features Uppsala to coincide with their comics convention. Should Frew do this? So there's a comics convention happening over there. We've got Supernova, we've got Oz Comic Con. Geez, it'd be nice if we could integrate them into a Frew comic or a locally produced Frew story.
So in the actual story, it actually features Uppsala. Now, Uppsala's a city in Sweden, and they've timed it. Say, hey, let's reprint this story around the same time as this comic convention is. I know there's Andreas is going there. He's got a panel on. Robert Armand's got a panel on. I don't think it's fandom related, but I think it is. What do you call it? I think he is going to be there. So there's a Phantom influence, and then you've got this comic which has got like a big cathedral and a couple of little elements of that is very known to be Uppsala. So it got me thinking, why does it, like Frew are at the Sydney convention every year, but I think they did it, in the last 6 years, I think they've missed one due to COVID. If they are going again this year, we've done the jam covers and all that, but why not make it Australia
A Sydney
focused?
story.
Yeah,
Yeah, an
or
Australian one. Yeah, or even
yeah,
just Australia. Yeah.
yeah.
Be good.
I
I
just
like
thought,
it.
yeah, I just thought it's an idea to kind of, and they've done similar things like that before, like when they had the Kid Phantom or Gaslight in the convention book. They've
Yep.
reprinted the Team Phantom Men story coming to Australia, which was the Black Opals in Illaroo and stuff like that. So they've done that before, but it's just like, yeah, why not do it more regularly? And then, whether it's a special, you can have like a cover B or something, which you can only buy at Supernova, and you can get people to sign it and stuff like that. Whether it's Paul Mason's got that Fury story, which has actually got Julie Walker coming to Australia.
There's room to have a bit of
ways,
play with it.
yeah, and just to have a little bit of fun, and it's a novelty, it's a gimmick and all that, but why not?
Next up, we've got a Brazil writer to write a Lee Falk biography. Anything more on this term? Who's the Brazilian writer who's writing about Lee Falk?
I can't pronounce his name, but he's a well-known
I'd have a
writer.
crack, but it's not on the run sheet.
Yeah, he's a well-known writer, and he's written like 20 books, including a lot of biographies. So this is actually being crowdfunded at the moment. At the time I checked yesterday, it was 60%. It's only in Portuguese, and they're not shipping outside of Brazil. But it's 300 odd pages. Is talking about a lot of the stuff. There is going to be a link, so if you want to learn more about it, click on the link from our show notes. It will be all on there. What I'm personally doing is I'm getting a friend in Brazil to fund it on behalf of me, and then he's going to send me the book if it reaches funding. there's still like 30 odd days for it to reach funding, and it's at 60%. So look,
Okay.
I know there's a lot of completists out there. Find a Brazil friend and say, look, I'll buy you a beer and I'll send you a stack of Frew comics as a thank you. There's plenty of Phantom fans in there that would love to be able to get their hands on some Frew Phantom comics, and I'm sure they will do a deal with you, and it's a pretty cool thing to add to your collection.
Excellent. Sounds good. We're still over there in South America, new Mythos Brazil hardcover collection featuring Wilson McCoy stories. If there's anyone in Brazil who'd like to review this for us, can you please contact us?
They've printed Ray Moore ones. This is a Ray Moore one. Printed 2 Ray Moore ones and 2 Cy Barry ones. And now they're having a go at a, what do you call it, a Wilson McCoy one. So this is how thick it is. They're hardcover, they're heavy. They're like over a kilo each.
Crikey.
So that's why
it's been well read there too.
Well,
an omnibus there.
Yeah, this isn't actually my copy. My copy is somewhere else. I have done a review of them, so as much as a dumb English speaking person can do, I've done.
I assume it's written in Portuguese then.
Yeah, it's in Portuguese.
Yeah.
I've done a review of it. We will produce links, but the reason this is still in its plastic is because this is technically not my copy. So,
got to send it to someone else.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, Hvidsten to publish Defenders of the Earth comics in their Flash Gordon series. Did we talk about this last time or a couple of podcasts ago?
No. So you're thinking of Mad Cave, who are producing the Defenders of the Earth in a trade paperback. So yes. Hvidsten are also releasing these comics, but they've only just started doing a Flash Gordon comic book series like they are with the Phantom. And then I know, is it Shakti or Regal? I think it's Shakti are also doing Flash Gordon, Rip Kirby, and Mandrake as well. So what they're doing is, I think it's from June is their next issue. Is actually going to feature issue 1 of the Defenders of the Earth. Now, I've talked to a few of our German contacts, German friends, and they've never read these comics before. So they're quite excited about this little scoop.
I've never read the Defenders of the Earth comics.
Yeah, never read the Defenders of the Earth comics. So they're quite excited. Christian, who does our reviews, will be buying them and reviewing them as well. So
excellent.
Yeah, so I hope if you're a German listener, get the comics, enjoy it, and Defenders of the Earth seems to be making a little bit of a comeback.
It would be good to see. Because as we mentioned, the Mad Cave Studios. We got nothing further than what we've said a month or 2 ago now, is there?
Yeah, but this is so what we're talking about. So Mad Cave Studios are releasing the trade paperback. However, I've seen rumours online, and at this stage, it's only rumours. There's nothing on Mad Cave Studios. I haven't seen anything. I've reached out to Mad Cave Studios. No official word from them yet. But the rumours is that they're actually releasing a new stories of the Defenders of the Earth.
Oh, big news.
So, yeah. So, look.
Are they going to do the old stories first and then do the new one?
Well, yeah. So the old stories are coming out in the trade paperback in June.
Yep.
And then I believe, from what I've seen, is that the new Defenders of the Earth will be coming out in August.
Now, will this be brand new, not the fabled 5th story?
But from what I believe, it's actually new, like a new created series.
New. Right, well, we wish you all the best with that.
August, September is still quite a while away. Might not be doing anything yet. That's why there might not be an official word, but we're going to keep sniffing around. We do like hearing stuff like this. So, So watch this space, keep an eye on our social media, and you can also keep an eye on our website as well.
Excellent. Now we see we've got a new Indian T-shirt range. This isn't the thing that I saw on the messages or whatever about with all the Phantom covers on a shirt, was it? No, this is something different.
No, this is actually an official license.
Properly licensed. Yep.
Yeah. So, you get those ugly Christmas sweaters, all those ugly Hawaiian shirts. It was like in that vein. And I was joking around, sending it to a lot of people like, come on, you got to wear this to the Phantom dinner and stuff like that. But no, this has been found by Suez, who is in the middle of writing an article about it. So it's either will be published as this podcast goes live, or in the week or so after the podcast goes live, and we're just giving you an exclusive.
Now, lastly but not leastly, it's coming up to comic convention season here in Australia. So we've got Supernova. So that's happening in Melbourne and Gold Coast. Very, very well. Melbourne is next weekend. So that's the weekend after Easter. There's a number of creators who are attending. We mentioned Alex Tripp a moment ago.
So from Melbourne, you've got Ken Stacey, who did one of the.
He did the card, the collector cards.
Yes,
From back in the 90s, though.
Yes, it's the
Yep.
fans of getting into like an F14. Now,
Yeah, it was one of the first cards I got.
Yeah,
Back in the day.
it's
I
a
remember.
great
I
image.
remember that it's ingrained into my brain, that one.
So make sure if you're going, make sure you get that card out, get it signed.
You have to do that this weekend.
You've got Alex Tripp, which you talked about. Jason, Alex obviously has done this comic. Going to stick a remark on it. You got Jason Franks, who did the rock and roll Phantom stories. You get some signature on that one. You mentioned Lauren Marshall from WA. Now, I believe she's got the next Frew cover that is coming out. So I'm not sure if it's going to come out in time for Melbourne Supernova.
Well, might not. Yeah.
Maybe for some subscribers, obviously not for you, Stephen.
Not for me.
You're now blacklisted by Renee White, so you're at the bottom of the pile.
I'll just make a note. You named him. I never named him.
You got Lily McDonald, who did a cover for the Belle Epoque series.
Oh yes, yep.
You mentioned Jamie Johnson, who is an old. Well, I won't say he's old because he's not old, but he's a classic fan.
I think he turns 40 this year,
artist.
judging by his socials, which I think coincides with the age of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think.
Yeah, well,
I think
he's
made a
old
reference
then.
there.
He is old then. So sorry, Jamie, you're in the 40s now. You're old like the rest of us. And then you've also got Dean Rankin, who has written a few stories, including in the 75th anniversary story as well. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Phantom creators who have done something Phantom related in the last 30 years.
If they arrive in time, I'll have a bundle of Chronicle Chamber merch to give away to fans who see me. What's the magic word?
They got to say happy phantoming to you.
Happy phantoming. That'll do it. I will be wearing my cap with all my badges on it. I don't know. I'll probably be wearing my purple Phantom t-shirt, but I'll definitely be wearing my cap with all my badges on it.
Yeah. Now, so go up to him, say hello, get a photo with him, say the word happy phantoming. But more importantly, get some comics, get some signatures, and look, I'll recommend, if they've got prints, buy them. If they've got
buy their prints, support the local artists. Great.
Get a little remark on there, or if you've got if you've got sketch comics or whatever, spend some money with them because it's not cheap for them to do it. And then they love the Phantom just as much as you do. They want to sign Phantom comics. They want to do Phantom drawings and stuff like that. So, do that. Now, the week after is Gold Coast Supernova, which is April 13th and 14th. Now, not all of those artists are going to Gold Coast Supernova because a lot of them have to fly themselves there. Alex Tripp, Dean Rankin are going, and Ken Stacey is as well. So there's at least 3. If there's any others, we will update this website. We've got on our website, we've got a link. The link will be in our show notes. So we've got all the conventions in Australia, and we're going to be listing the guests that are going to a lot of them as well. So look, go out, support them, say hello, get a photo with them, get a signature. If they got a Phantom print, buy a print, spend a little bit more, get a little remark or a sketch, and tell them that we sent you.
So thank you one and all for listening or watching us. As I mentioned before, our website is chroniclechamber.com, and as Jem mentioned earlier, our email is chroniclechamber@gmail.com. We always love to hear your thoughts, your feedback, and opinions on our social media platforms or over at the YouTube channel. Our next podcast is an interview with Cy Barry as he talks about his worldwide influence, one not to be missed. Now, as always, you can subscribe to us via YouTube or through your favourite podcast apps, including iTunes or Spotify. Thank you once again, and please get in contact with us, and I hope to see as many of you as possible at Melbourne Supernova. And from me, happy fandoming.
Happy fandoming and all. Stay safe.
And happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Get into those chocolates.